Alright guys, welcome back to the 76 Idle Adventure video. We got a pretty big update coming, not this Monday, so not tomorrow, but in 1 week after tomorrow, we're going to be getting what basically is the first anniversary. Now, I don't want to call it the first anniversary because it's not. The first anniversary officially will be starting around the start of August. However, it will be the first anniversary of the official beta release, which for someone like me, for example, is the 1 year anniversary. However, don't expect like the one escalator to drop, right? However, that doesn't mean it's not going to be a pretty big update because we already gotten some teasers and hints about what's coming. So quickly, before we get towards that as well, I want to quickly say that I think next Thursday, I'm going on holiday. So I actually won't be home. I might try and still upload them on holiday, but I actually will be missing the update on Monday and also the update on Tuesday. I think I get home Wednesday night or like days, so I'll be able to cover it slightly later. I hope I can still cover it on the actual Monday, just cover the patch notes quickly and upload it so we can all talk about it and be a little bit excited because, well, we know what's coming. So yeah, they dropped this Developer Answers 5. They've done a few now. I've not covered every single one. By far the best ones was 1 and 2. We'll go back towards 1 later on. However, they did say a few things in here. Nothing really worth talking about other than probably this here. Are there any plans to buff, nerf, or likewise remake existing characters? Which they do say basically no, right? I don't know why they would need to buff or nerf, especially nerf. You never want to nerf a character, especially when you summon for them, right? Buffing though is a different example because, well, power creep is a thing you want to be able to summon for new characters to get better uses. However, you are noticing a lot of characters come out nowadays are being made for specific contents, where before it was a lot more general. Like Jericho coming out literally basically says, I am a stage boss killer. Derriere, I am the character made for base defense part 2. Some other characters, like obviously the Giant Diane from not the one with a Sacred Treasure, right? She says, okay, I am made for obviously Night bosses. But yeah, it'd be more like, okay, if a character is about to come out, like we saw Meliodas, after a little bit of testing, then we'll buff them up, right? But we generally rarely would ever see that. And then nerfs would be like, okay, this character, in terms of like unintended stuff. Like, for example, in Grand Cross, Chandler released and his full counter was literally broken. It was doing more damage than it should have, and he nerfed it. It wasn't technically a nerf, it was more of a fix, but in the grand scheme of things, it kind of was a nerf, right? But this is what we need to talk about. Separately, as briefly mentioned before, we are preparing to introduce a new heroes, so more than one, of a different rank that utilizes the resources of existing heroes. This update is scheduled for release in the 16th of June update. Further details will be provided in an official note. So that is basically all we've gotten. But if you go back towards developer update number 1, it was this right here. Question: are there any plans to introduce a higher grade of heroes higher than legendary? And that's kind of a bad thing. I mean, it happens generally in every single game because you got the UR. Grand Cross has done it right. Grand Cross done it really well. It's always a scary thought about, okay, well, you know, we already have like festival level characters. To go beyond that, what expensive is it going to be? How rare is it going to be? How hard is it going to dupe them out? And it always comes out a little bit of a negative, at least at the start until we ease into what was it. But it does say, yeah, are there any plans to get a higher grade of heroes? At this time, there are no plans to increase the grade of heroes that can be obtained directly through the summoning menu. So they're not right now, at least, because it's only the 1st anniversary. Maybe towards the 2nd or 3rd if the game goes that long. Then you can start to think about adding like the UI equivalent, which would be, I'm not too sure what would be actually, because, well, if we're going to be getting a higher grade rarity fruit, which you'll see in a second, because they do say here, however, we are considering the possibility of introducing a new grade of heroes as a reward through in-game content in a positive light. So that's the most important thing. So if you compare it towards Grand, because you've not played that one, rather than being someone for UI character, which is generally kind of, that's not the worst, but like, they make it a lot more restricted and a lot more hard to get those characters. This is going to be like the LR equivalent, or I don't play Dokkan, but like the Dokkan Awakening. The Dokkan Awakening? I'm not entirely too sure, but that is the equivalent. So we're going to be getting like LRs in this game, right? And we kind of already spoke about it on the channel in the past, but we already know what the rarity is likely to be called because you've kind of already added rarities above the legendary. If you go towards your Sacred Treasure and frame enhancements, you can see if you get towards a certain level, you are going to unlock 2 new rarities. The ultimate rarity, which is blue, and an arcane. Now, it's possible we could just get legendary plus characters, because why not? And then maybe save the ultimate rarity or like the arcane rarity. To be fair, I think the best way to do it would be like ultimate characters where they get buffed into becoming like an LR equivalent, and then maybe save the arcane because like arcane Lost Fate Meliodas sounds insane, right? And maybe save that for like the actual summonable ones we get later on. Ultimate's a bit weird because if I make a video about Ultimate Escanor, because he got upgraded towards an ultimate level character. This kind of, you know, we already have Ultimate Escort as a character, so it would be kind of weird to kind of name that a little bit. But yeah, I don't like trick you lot into thinking that that's exactly what it's going to be. It could be something made up completely, but if they're going to keep towards the themes we have already in the game, then it most likely would be Ultimate. But like I did say, it also could be to be Legendary plus characters. But considering like LR, for example, or Legendary Rarity, the border normally changes. So yeah, I'm looking forward towards that. Plus, it looked really cool in your box, have like green characters a little bit, be sick. Yeah, a little unfortunate I'm not going to be exactly here to fully experience my actual right setup, right? But, oh, it's going to be so cool to see it. So, like I said, they are preparing new heroes. Maybe they just use the word heroes as like, okay, we're going to be adding more in the future, but because of the rarity of it, right, you gotta expect, especially because they're gonna get big buffs as well, right, because obviously they're gonna become a better rarity. I don't know how many they're gonna do. I think in an idle game like this, for example, you could probably release like a 3 or 4, maybe a little bit, and then that'll be actually very cool, actually, because then you can imagine maybe not 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 1, or I don't know how exactly you're gonna do it, but they can probably be a bit more frequent with it. So not only are we getting new characters that we can summon for, we're also going to be grinding for the buffs towards the older characters, and it's going to be more of a fun experience, right? I think that's probably the best thing you can do. So we're not just getting 1 character every 2 weeks. We can kind of think of that as like 2 characters every 2 weeks. But now the fun part. Who is it going to be? Now, obviously, this is all speculation. We don't know who it's going to be. You got to assume it's going to be characters that release at the start of the game. So don't imagine like, you know, this Escanor down here who just came out. And maybe we have to wait and see as well how you can actually awaken a character. Will it actually be you have to take the character towards max level? So someone like Barn, for example, who I'll start off right now saying he should be definitely being the first one. Barn is the GOAT. He was the first character to come out ever in the game in terms of like the first ever banner. He's still pretty decent towards this day because he's just like the only good DPS out of like the starter starter banner characters. But yeah, they could do 2 ways of doing it, where one, there would just be a button up here or somewhere on the screen, like down here, you can just literally click evolve and you evolve the character towards the new ultimate level rarity, or you have to take the character towards Super Awakening. But I feel like that shouldn't be the case, right? Because that would be pretty expensive for a lot of people. Now, obviously, I've been saving my tickets, these ones over here. How much do we have? We have like 25 of these, right? So if it does come towards someone else in this pool of characters, then I will probably be able to try and max them out. But still, get a character with Super Awakening, especially if you're I wouldn't say, if you're a newer player, definitely gonna be harder to get, but I think like newer players would probably benefit the most a little bit, just getting an older character duped out. I mean, everyone kind of would, right? But let's say you do like Hellbrum, for example. I've been like very unlucky in my Hellbrums. You can see down here, he's like one of the least characters I pulled. Same with Hauser. So like I won't be able to use them because it's going to take even like more dupes to get them up. And I've just been very, very unlucky. So I hope, yeah, you can just evolve them rather than have to take them towards like, you know, True Awakening, or maybe not max True Awakening, but take it to the True Awakening states to where they're like fully leveled up. But yeah, Barn would be cool. And I think everyone would agree too. Escanor has to be one of the first ones. He is fallen off drastically, right? Like I think we all agree. He's just sometimes not doing it. We're still using him because he's still like, for more people, a lot of people are summon for him, a lot of people invested in towards him, so he's probably likely one of your higher DPS characters. But you know, if I had everyone maxed out my box, I probably wouldn't be using Escanor. Maybe hold out on Rarity just for now. I don't think she's gonna be the first one because she still is one of the newer characters. I mean, so obviously was Escanor. I think Rarity dropped before her, right? Lost Vein would be pretty good to do as well. I think that'll be probably more the obvious choice because at least in terms of LR characters and Grand Cross, he was the first one. And I guess one thing too is we have like these actual animations. I wonder, or like the actual artwork, I wonder if they're going to change it. Probably not, because it will take more work, because we already have like the LR artwork a little bit off, obviously, Lost Vein. So they could just plop that on here. However, it probably won't be animated, because if they have to animate every single one, not that it takes that much effort, but I don't imagine they're going to change the actual character design, because then you have to have the LR costume, like how we have in Grand Cross. So I'm not expecting that, because that likely would be a lot of work, right? Just, you're basically designing a whole new character at that point. I think the way they want to do this little system is like, okay, here's just a stat upgrade. And you'll probably like get the festival treatment, right? Every festival right now, if you don't know, did you have 2 special skills? So give one to Escanor. Make him so he's going to be doing, I doubt another move. I'd probably likely say if he has like max sunshines, for example, for like 2 seconds, he gains like a 200% attack buff. So his next skill, or he gains ultimate gauge, or it just resets all his cooldowns so you can then do ultimate straight away. Something cool like that to make the character look better, rather than a whole new move, because once again, it will take more animations. And at that point, you'd rather just be better off just making a whole new character. It's got to get one too. Like I said, he was like the GOAT for debuffers, one of the better characters on release, but he just slowly fell out over time because the bosses got more a bit tankier. Like having, if he's got like more crit chance on his actual like passive, like imagine he's got like a 100% crit chance. So he's just spamming these actual energy restores. It'd be sick. X4 probably Arthur. A little bit of a go early on. I mean, once again, the crit chance, at least the int team, was kind of one of the go-to teams because that was like the most like actual built-up color. So it'd be cool to get him some buffs again. Maybe Galland, right? Get 2 commandments, 2 sins. That'd be pretty cool as well. But there is a Galland in a little bit because, well, he's, I wouldn't say unique one, right? But like he was like the best blue DPS until obviously got Berserk Melee. And obviously, I'm not expecting to get upwards to Berserk Melee's level, right? But I think just getting a good, strong, single target blue DPS character would be kind of decent. I mean, once again, even though Melee or Berserk Melee, Pitch Black Melee is AoE, he's still doing more damage anyway, right? But yeah, just increase the multipliers a little bit. Give more buffs on the critical over will be very, very cool. So yeah, guys, that is gonna wrap up today's video. Let me know who you want to see become the new ultimate rarity, and once again, I'll try and cover it if I can on holiday. But if you don't see a video from me, then well, I just can't do it, right? But we'll be back on Wednesday, hopefully to cover it and to summon as well. I have to hold out on summoning. It's going to be so annoying. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll test the character a little bit for the weekend so I can do like a full update guide on what comes out. But remember, it is going to be a festival level character. Like I just said, if I had to predict who it's going to be, my bets are on Perfect Cube Merlin in her like fantasy outfit. So right now we're getting the transform sins, like how we got Golfar, like how we got King Escanor, like how we gotten the new... Where's the melee? The Wandering Swordsman melee, right? We're going to be getting that, but probably for Merlin. So it's going to be new artwork. Going to be cool to see how she looks in game. Looking forward towards it. So guys, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and yeah, peace.